we're just going to take a look at the Godox V100 Speedlight here. And look, let me just give you a little bit of backstory on this. In that they sent this to me, and I'll be honest, up front, I was not looking forward to this. Right, I literally haven't used a Speedlight in since my art college days, right, which was over 20 years ago. And as soon as I left art college, I bought 4 500-watt Bowens heads. Boom, just done. Right, they're still over there. And I never ever went back to a Speedlight ever again. Right? So when they sent me this, it was kind of under the proviso of they sent me some other bits as well, which I was really excited to kind of play with. The the little Coke can lights, the MS60s, whatever they are, and I was like, oh cool, yeah, got to play with that. And they were like, yeah, we're going to send you this as well. Can you also take a look at this? And I was like, oh man, what am I going to do with this Speedlight? I haven't used a Speedlight in forever. And then I was tidying up, found it on the kitchen table the other day, and I was like, shit, I got to do something with this. And I got to say, I had a ton of fun with this thing. This thing is very, very powerful in what it can do. And chatting to my wife and going, look, should we test it out, have a bit of fun with it? And it was like I'll say one thing that kind of I took away from this was it was fun, right? Very, very fun to use. And part of that is just down to how easy it is to use, right? I just popped it on the camera, switched on TTL, which as a studio shooter I never use TTL. Those of you who don't know, it stands for through the lens, which means that it works out the exposure for you. And we just had some fun with it, right? Let's have a look at some of the shots we got. So here, some of the shots we were playing with. So this is just boom, basic, just outside. Just got the flash on her here, and you can see it's darker down here. So the flash is kind of pulling her, and then we were just kind of playing with this motion and movement. And what are we at here? So we're at 1/13 of a second here. This is during the day. So you can kind of see that like there's bright sunlight back here, so you can't see because my camera's in the way, but the camera setting to this is ISO essentially 25, f11 at 1/13 of a second. So f11, ISO 25. So I'm really trying to block out as much of this daylight as possible, and then using this 1/13 of a second motion. And what I've done here is I've zoomed in the flash to just get a pool of light on her there, and then just switched TTL on, and that's it. That's literally it. Tons of fun to play with and just start to get some creative shots that were very, very easy, and like it's just not, this is one flash, one light on the camera, and it's just, like it kind of doesn't get any easier than this, right? That's the setup there. It's just outside. This, if I'd waited an extra half an hour for the sun to go down a little bit more, I wouldn't have even needed this. This is just like kind of a scrim with black velvet on it, and then I've just got a fan to try and get some movement in the hair here because there's just no wind at all. So just trying to get some movement going. It just doesn't get any easier than that, right? It's like okay. That's cool. Then we tried something else. So I kind of set up just a backdrop outside as well. Let's have a look. So yeah, so here you go. So I just set up a backdrop outside as well. And then what I've got up here is, so it's just the Speedlight in this S-Fit bracket, right? This is just an old like pop-up beauty dish that I got in Hong Kong like 10 years ago or something for like 35 quid, and I could have used a studio beauty dish here, but I was like, I'm trying to keep it fairly realistic to being outside and on the go, and you're not going to be taking out just this massive metal 22-inch beauty dish. So I was like, okay, I just grab this, it just pops up, like it packs down real small, popped it on there, and yeah, pretty simple. And then just took some shots again, TTL, right, one light TTL, Absolutely crazy. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful results. So off-camera flash here. Now I'm doing the off-camera flash here with the trigger, like the X3 trigger, which we'll just have a look at in a second. Okay, that's what's firing that. But yeah, like super simple. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting here is that TTL is, I was kind of under the impression that it was talking to the camera more than it's actually doing. So what I'm using here is a very like a reimagined vintage lens. So what I mean by that is this is a very old Petzval lens design, so like rack and pinion focusing, no actual aperture in it. It comes with metal discs with a hole in it that you drop in for the aperture, and the TTL was working flawlessly, right? So like the TTL is not, it has no idea what my aperture is, right? It doesn't know where I am. I guess it doesn't need to know the type of lens I'm using or anything like that, but it doesn't know the aperture. So it really is very, very clever at reading the scene, not based on the settings that you're feeding it. So what TTL does is it fires a flash and first, right, and then it reads that flash, and then it fires a second flash adjusted based on the first flash, right? And I know that it's doing that because it has no idea what the aperture is on these shots. So I mean, I didn't even know what the aperture is on this. I mean, I think it's 2.8. You know, there's like a little disc that I drop in the lens. And this thing, TTL worked on this flawlessly every single shot. So that flash is off camera, like as you can see, like it's, you know, it's over there, right? And it's working flawlessly every single time, given the fact that we're outside in daylight, and it doesn't know what the aperture on my lens is and everything like that. So it worked absolutely flawlessly. Very, very impressed. You know, and the reason I say that is because I've certainly seen TTL from certain flashes that have kind of struggled, right? TTL wise, been a bit inconsistent, but there wasn't a single shot that I took here with TTL that wasn't correctly exposed. Nuts. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, absolutely crazy. So really impressed, really impressed. And you think, well, the flash is fixed. Yeah, it's true, but I was also kind of bringing it inside, and I'm moving backwards and forwards with the flash as well, right? So inside, so now it's back on the camera. I mean, I'm still using the trigger, but it is back on the camera, and I can move further away and that sort of stuff, and it balances it out perfectly every single time, right? Photography's never been easier than this, man. Like TTL flash like this, you've got mirrorless cameras that are giving you a live view of the scene in front of you. You know, absolutely wild how just quick and easy it is to get great shots with this tech now. It's nuts. Yeah. Let's check out my questions in here. All of my early work was with knockoff Speedlights. Yeah, same, Jimmy. Yeah, we used like a knockoff. It wasn't even mine. Like my entire degree was done with my mate's 40 quid Speedlight. I think it didn't even didn't even have any features on it at all. It was either on full power or off, pretty much. Like you could zoom it, and we would stack Rizzlers on the front to kind of diffuse it a little bit, but that was it. Yeah. Okay, so kind of my base level thoughts on it. Let's have a look at what this. Does anybody here shoot with Speedlights? Has anybody got a Speedlight at the moment? Or has anybody used Speedlights in the past and they're like, I'm just not. There's just no point in me using them again. I know there's people like, I think Sterling uses them. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Sterling. Yeah, straight in their way. I think Sterling uses them. He does events and that sort of stuff. He uses them all the time. Which one have you got, Sterling? Yeah, which one are you using? Okay, so let's have a look at this. What we got in here? One thing on this, I've got the Nikon one here. There is a couple of different ones. it's just worth noting that there is a different one in the US. So it's like a V100U, I think, that has a red ring around the top. I'll just really briefly speak about that in case it's relevant to anybody. So here, right? So the North American one, there's many of them out there with a red ring around it, and to my knowledge, this is due to patent issues, right? And I think there is some argument saying that there is infringement on Profoto circular flashlight attachments, because the regular one that I've got here and the normal one that you can see, yeah, like here, right? Like the black one, that ring is magnetic, so you can put like modifiers and stuff on there, and there are some out there that don't have that magnetic ring. Now, I'm not sure whether this is right or wrong, but there are certainly distributors who are just changing it, because you can buy these black rings to replace it, and a lot of the distributors will either include that black ring in the box, or you can buy it from like eBay for like $6 or something. So it's very easy to kind of replace if you wanted to, but there are obviously plenty of places out there that don't have the red ring around it. Look, all this is a mess. There's arguments that says that Profoto infringed on MagMod because their whole business model was magnetic modifiers that you attach to Speedlight. That's literally their entire business model, right? So there's kind of everybody kind of fighting amongst themselves. Profoto saying, "Oh, you know, well, ours is circular, yours isn't," and that sort of stuff. So yeah, look, just be mindful of it. Yeah. Other than that, exactly the same. It's just that ring. Yeah. Let's have a look what people are saying here. So Sterling says he's got the V1S. So what is the V1S? Is that Godox as well, Sterling? Yeah. So Leo here says he's got the V860 all the time. Oh my god, everybody's using these letters and numbers. Actually, I know nothing about any Speedlights. Yeah. So Sterling says he's got the 860s as well. Paul says I have one as my backup light in the studio. It's a Godox something. Well, yeah, I mean, Paul, I'm with you, mate. So Steve says I've got the V100. Use it for fire performance on long exposure. Nice. Okay, perfect. So exactly the same thing as I was doing there. So Sterling says I have 7 of them. I have 3 V1s that I use regularly. Okay. Nice. Okay, I got to look it up now. So what do we say we had there? You guys said you had Speedlight V1. Okay, I know you guys can't see my screen. So very similar then. So very similar. This is like an early version then. Sterling, right? Yeah. What else do people have? Leo had V860. Okay, yeah. So one of the early ones there with the rectangular flash. Yeah. What else do we have in there? V1s, V860s. Oh, I think Sterling's talking about the same thing. 860s as well. Okay, so that's cool. Yeah. Then he says I used to use them, but switched to the Neo 3s. Gotcha. Yeah. However, I've started to use them more. I'm going to buy this one. Danny, mate. Honestly, it's really good. Yeah, it is. I really can't fault it. Yeah. Lizzie says you use one sometimes. When you say sometimes, Lizzie, why? Like, what is it that you go? Ooh, I need to use a Speedlight now. Is it you turn up to like a wedding or a church or something, and it's like, whoa, it is way too dark in here. I do not want to be shooting at 64,000 ISO. Like now's time to put on a Speedlight. Is it something that you have in your bag, or is there a different like what kind of? I was just kind of curious as to what triggers people to kind of use them. Yeah. I meant the V1. Yeah, no worries, Dylan. Yeah. Steve says the V1 was followed by the V1 Pro, which is the clip-on front flash. Okay, V100 is a bit more power. Okay. So Paul's is the V852. Okay, so it's going to be similar to this, right? Yeah, so it's going to be okay. Yeah. So these are kind of the old school ones. Yeah. Mine is cheap one I found on Amazon. I use it mostly for special effects, light painting. Okay, fair enough. So you're just kind of using it to pop in a little bit of light when you're doing light painting. So you just need something to kind of trigger, and that's it. You don't need anything fancy. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, but I have used it outdoor daylight sessions too. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. All right. Let's have a look at this then. Okay. So let's put this. What have we got here? So obviously got the Speedlight itself. We got the little stand. I don't know what you'd use that for. This thing was kind of interesting. This fill flash, right? And I did a test it earlier on, which I'll show you the results in a second. So that actually clips onto the very front of the Speedlight. I'll chat about that in a second. And then you got your cables and that sort of stuff, right? So in here, I mean, it has got a pouch in here as well for that if you want it on the side of the thing. Okay. So we turn that on. Boom. And you pretty much like that's it. Like rough. Kind of crazy. You've got your button here that so you've got sender receiver. So I think this is more modernized vernacular rather than master and slave, which is what we used to from back in the day, but same thing, right? Then you got your menu, you got your wireless, usual stuff, right? And see, normally pressing this button takes you back to the menu, but it just goes backwards and forwards from this. Okay, cool. Okay, so literally just pop that on there, and then you can go in here. It's all touchscreen, obviously, as you can see me doing it there. So you can just have it set to auto. The shots that you saw me doing outside were all done at full zoom because I kind of wanted that pool of shadow, kind of around there, because that's where the kind of the movement was. Yeah. So if we kind of go back a second here. Right, so I'm just using that 105 mil, that's super zoomed in. So you see the flash is really only hitting here, and you see the dress down here is not getting any of that flash. So that's how we're able to get the movement in the ambient light, which is the daylight, right? So that's kind of why I was using. So I fixed the zoom to 105. I didn't let it spread or anything like that, and that gave a really cool effect when it came to kind of darkening down the background, which was nice. Yeah. So the other thing that I was using was this, right, which was the Godox X3 trigger. Is that iPhone lens steaming up in here? You see that? Is that fogging up? It's hilarious. So in here you just got that, right? You got your cable and that sort of stuff, and your instructions. And then you just got your trigger in there. So this thing is really what made everything super easy on the day, right? You can just turn that on. Right, so there's a huge touchscreen on the top there, and again, you turn it on and you're ready to go. You got your buttons on the side here, so you can kind of flash it. I don't know whether you can see the flash on the stream because of the frame rate, but yeah, so it's just syncing there as well. And you got off and on. Then you got this button on the side here pushes in as well, so you can then adjust this. Push in again, and the button is actually big enough that I was kind of using it with one hand. Doesn't seem like a big thing, but it was as how I ended up using it. And you got the menus and stuff in there as well. So one thing that's cool about this is that it has a modeling bulb. I mean, should be able to turn it on here if it's connected. I can definitely turn it on by this one. I know that. Let's have a look. Modeling bulb. Okay. I definitely had it on, so I don't know why it's not on there now. But yeah. And it's definitely talking to it. But The other thing that was cool about this as well was that, let's have a look. Where was it? Oh, in the menu, that's right, so in the settings. So some of you may not have experienced this in the past, but sometimes when the flash is too close to the trigger, it won't fire. This used to actually happen a lot with the Bowens lights, where if I was using like a ring flash back in the day, and you like the camera would actually be through the ring flash, and you had the strobe next to it, but the trigger was also next. Like, it just wouldn't work, so you'd have to hardwire it. So this is kind of a cool thing that I noticed about this. You just got the channels here. Let's go back to the menu. Setting. Trigger distance. And it's got two settings there. You got 0 to 30, and you've also got 1 to 100, right? Like, it's just such a simple thing. I just wish all triggers had this. So now, if you set it to 0 to 30, which is like, that's, like, Christ, for 99% of the work that we do, that's going to be fine, right? So you set it to that, and then it can be right next to it, as you're seeing here, right? And it works. And if you can see hopefully one of these will pop up on the stream. Yeah. So other triggers that I've used haven't done that, and it's really annoying for certain shots. Like I said, ring flash and that sort of stuff. Or I've had lights kind of behind me, right? Like a big umbrella behind me, and I've kind of come back and I'm in the kind of almost in the umbrella, and the camera is kind of next to the light, and it won't fire the umbrella as well. So yeah, something like that. Simple thing was just like, man, I wish all of them had that. Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look. What we got? Kind of bummed I can't get that modding lamp to work for some reason, because it was working earlier on. So obviously I haven't got something doing something. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, like the battery in there is like a lithium battery that just pops in at the side there, super quick to charge, and just lasts forever. In fact, I had it kind of on standby for days. It's absolutely fine. So I'm kind of torn on this, right? Because the old Speedlights were all like AA batteries and that sort of stuff, and it was convenient, right? Because you could be anywhere. Like, you could be at a wedding or a shoot or wherever you were, and you could just, if you had a packet of AA's, you didn't need, I haven't charged my battery, right? If you just had your packet of AA's, you were good to go. Or you could just, petrol station or whatever, the supermarket, and grab some more. So super convenient in that point of view. The downside of that is that they are kind of a bit fiddly. They don't last anywhere near as long. You got to fish them out of the packet, put them in, all that sort of stuff, and then you're just carrying around tons and tons of batteries. Whereas these ones, this lithium thing, not only does it last for ages, and sure, obviously if I was going to be using it in earnest, I'd probably just get 2 or 3 of these. You just pop them in instantly, and off you go. So very, very quick and easy in terms of a battery thing. So pros and cons, right? You would need to buy extras of those batteries if you were going to be taking this seriously. Long day and that sort of stuff. But I haven't charged that since, and it just keeps going and going and going. So I have no qualms that would last for a very long time. So this thing here on the front, right? And if anybody's got any questions about this, then let me know. But yeah, so this little thing pops on the front here. It's just kind of a fill light, right? So I was testing this, and there's a couple of caveats to making this fill light work. So it'll only work when the flash is kind of orientated like this, right? So you're bouncing it off the ceiling, right? So you're shooting, you're bouncing this off the ceiling, and you put this on, and then this will fire as well, right? So it's kind of it will really only trigger when it knows that this is pointed up towards the ceiling, okay? And then this will come on. It's a nice idea. Let's take a look at the shots a second. Let's have a look. Let's see what we got here. Questions wise, let's have a look. So Paul says the stand gives you a tripod tread should you ever need one. Oh, I see what you're saying, Paul. Yeah, clever. Rather than having to get another bracket. Yeah, good shout. So what Paul is saying here is that at the bottom of this stand, so he's talking about the stand, he's saying at the bottom of that, you got the thread. So you put the... Obviously, I mean, I've got a bunch of brackets and that sort of stuff that I would kind of ordinarily use. What he's saying is you put the Speedlight on the bracket and then you can just whack that onto the bottom of the tripod. So yeah, good shout, Paul. Yeah, well done, mate. Well done. Yeah, I never even looked at the bottom of that. Yeah. I will pop one I did in daylight with my cheap Speedlight in the reply on my photo. Oh yeah, thanks, Liz. Yeah, have a look at that. Yeah, for the day so you can see how it worked too. Yeah, nice. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Leo says the older Godox triggers have it as well, but sometimes completely hidden in the manual. Yeah, true, right? I mean, I didn't know. Like, I've never seen anybody talk about it, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah. It's such a like that. Presumably, they was talking about the distance thing. Yeah, like, there should have been something that was in triggers from a very long time ago. I don't know the tech behind it. Obviously, a reason why it doesn't work on most of them. But yeah, it very useful feature for sure. Celia says you'd power up the trigger while holding the test button and get to the close mode. What the? The secret, like, yeah, the secret menus in some of these products is hilarious, man. Yeah. One of the perks of this unit is that some of the newer ones is that you have an external port for hooking up to external battery pack. Yeah, so I noticed that. I haven't actually tried it. So I think what Sterling talking about there is that on the side of the flash, you have like another USB-C port on the side. You can see it there, right? So I presume what you're saying there, Sterling, is not only does it have a sync port, but it has the USB. So you could technically be powering this from a pack, right? If you had like a pack on it on a stand or something like that, you can actually plug it, which is, I said, definitely a nice feature rather than having to swap it in and out if it's up really high or something. Yeah. I still have some from the old 8360s. I still have, just had to buy a different connector cable. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, thread, yeah. 8200 version has the same connector. Okay. With the external pack connected, it speeds the recycling time a bit. Plus, you could do 1,000 flashes, of course. Okay. So, I mean, Christ, the recycle seems very, very quick to me. But I guess, I suppose if you were doing like dancing or something like that, and you, sure, okay, yeah, I could see that. There's a connection on the bottom front for external battery pack. Down there, yeah, okay, yeah. Let's switch it back to the camera. Yeah, good shout, guys, good shout. So this is the one that I was kind of talking about here. We've got this, you've got the sync there, and then you've got the USB-C there, right? So you could kind of presumably plug it in, like Sterling was saying there, and then what Steve is saying is that at the bottom here at the front, you got that in there, which is cool. Yeah. So I need to read the manual again as to why that modeling bulb won't come on. It's kind of annoying, stupid of me. Obviously it's worked every time apart from now. It's bugging me though. Maybe it's something that I put on in there. I don't think so. Modeling, continuous, interact continuous, yeah. But the modeling lamp for focusing, so good. Yeah. So good. Like, I could genuinely see myself just putting this on the camera to focus, right? Because I think you can actually set it to turn off the modeling bulb when you press the trigger as well. So when you take a picture, it will turn off the modeling bulb so that it's not interrupting or illuminating the shot in any way, which is cool. Yeah. Yeah. There's a bunch of other things in here as well in terms of just the settings of distances and features and that sort of stuff. But yeah. Okay. Okay, what else have we got on there? Oh, thank you, Sterling. Okay, so what Sterling's saying here is that the side here is only for firmware upgrades. Okay, good shout. Good shout, Sterling. Thank you. Yeah, I thought you could power it from that, but then he's saying that this is the... So this is how you power it here. Okay. Yeah. Good shout, man. Good shout. Well done. Well, Steve was saying that as well. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys. Yeah. If you plug a cable in, it says upgrade. Gotcha. Yeah. Pull down the manual. So there's different menus here. So Steve is right. They're different. So you have menu to the left there. All right. And you got not that. You got that. Autofocus on there. Okay, so we've got modeling. There we go. Okay, there we go. Well done, Steve, mate. Well done. Okay, so there's a menu at the top there, so you can access more. So I've actually just been using this. I was kind of surprised that this didn't work. Okay, so now that's turning it off and on. Or it was. Weird. It's also got a thing here for like the brightness of the modeling bulb as well, which was cool. So yeah, so you can turn it off with this. I have turned it on with this before, but I don't know why it's not working now. It's not doing it. You can turn it off with this, but not on. Weird. Okay. I have done in the past though. Okay, so there's that. So modeling bulbs super useful for focusing, right? And let me just come over here, look at some more shots a second. Because these ones here, this is what I was doing. I was playing around with that modeling bulb that we've just or the focusing light, whatever you want to call it, the modeling bulb on there. And I was kind of playing around with this kind of 90s nostalgic vibe shot. So purposely leaving it on. And there is, like I said, there is a setting in there where you have to turn it on and have it left on, because otherwise, when you press the trigger, it will turn itself off to stop this from happening. But you can overwrite that, which is cool. So where are we at here? You guys can't see it, but I'm at ISO 25 again, 85mm f8 at half a second. So half a second, modeling bulb on, and this is on the camera, and then I'm kind of moving it around quite quickly, and then the flash is going off. TTL again, and then it's doing it. Okay, and then it's getting this kind of effect. I'm sure you guys have all seen it before. Now, one thing of interest here is that the eagle-eyed among you may have noticed the nostalgic color for sure, but also the fact that it's not daylight Kelvin, right? So that modeling bulb is what, 3000, 2700 or something Kelvin. So it's not the same color as the flash, which, like, first impressions, that seems kind of weird, right? Why would you do that? Now, when I looked into this, so don't take this as gospel, this is just kind of what I read online, so who knows, right? But this is what I read online. They were saying that originally this was supposed to come with both two LEDs, right? Both a warm and a cool one, right? And again, supposedly they ran into patent issues specifically with the cool LED modeling bulb. I'll take a wild guess as to who had an issue with it, but that was supposedly what I heard. So they removed the blue one and just kept the warmer orange one that we see here. And the reason I looked into it, because I was like, why on earth would you have a flash that fires at 5600 and then have a modeling bulb, which is an LED, that you could have at any color you wanted? Why have that at, set to tungsten, which is like 3000 or something? So I was like, why on earth would you do that? And so looking into it, there does seem to be a reason for it. Now look, I'm like, it's fine. It doesn't bother me. I actually kind of like it. I think it's actually pretty cool. You get this very very vintage like effect and that sort of stuff. I think it's cool. Yeah, it's just the the stuff that we used to shoot back when I was learning. So I'm totally fine with it. But it's worth pointing out for you guys that the modeling bulb is quite warm. Cool. Let's just briefly look at the fill flash, right? So I spoke about a second about the fill flash. So you remember that thing that you put on the front, this little fella here, right? I tested it out, and this is using the Speedlight TTL bouncing off the ceiling, right? So the only way you can engage the that fill light when it's on is to point the flash at the ceiling. Like not great, right? And then this is with it on, right? So that's with the fill light on, that's with the fill light off. Yeah, so this is the flash pointing at the ceiling. Now granted, I could have got her to lift her chin up into the ceiling a bit more, sure, but this is with the fill light in there. I think I don't know where you can see it in this, but I think in the original you can actually see two tiny catch lights in there, yeah, as opposed to just the one. So we can see, right? So you can see here, there's this kind of shadow from, I presume, the fill light, yeah, going off, and then you've got the shadow here because the light's bouncing off the ceiling, and that's, so look, it's okay. It seems like it didn't have. I couldn't change the power of it in any way, so I was just kind of fortunate that it seemed to work. I hadn't, unless it was all TTL'd, but there was no way of me adjusting the power of that fill light. So what you see is kind of what you get. Look, it's nice to have, and I could see myself testing it in other situations to see what else it would be useful for. But better to have it than not, right? Has anybody used that? Has anybody used the fill light on any of these? Is this a brand new thing for the V100s? Anybody know? Is this the first time you guys have seen that? And just a reminder, I'm talking about that thing there, right? So it'll only fire when you angle the flash up, right? So it won't even fire like that. It'll only know you've got it up like that, right? Yeah, and you just pops on the front there. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. I've also seen online 2 flashes, front and main, aren't the same colour, slight difference. I've also seen online the 2 flashes, front and main, aren't the same colour. Oh, you're saying this is a different colour to that? Really? I didn't notice that. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's going to happen between any 2 flashes. Maybe there was. Okay. I mean, I could see it happening. Yeah. I could see it being something that would happen. That's interesting. Okay, so what you're saying is that the Kelvin on this fill flash is kind of different to this flash. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, you guys couldn't see that. I was just kind of switching back to these. I couldn't really see much of a. I couldn't really see a huge color shift between them. Difficult as well because you're bouncing it off the ceiling. I mean, that's not. Pretty sure my ceiling is not. Me using a Speedlight when I really was dreading doing this review because I was like, what am I going to do with it? But that TTL outside off-camera flash, just with, like I said, I just had that pop-up beauty dish there. Like, are you kidding me? Manual focus lens, vintage lens there, just working seamlessly every single shot. TTL. What? Are you kidding me? Like, this is crazy how efficient that is. Now, one thing I will add about these shots was that I tend to bring my images down a little bit. So at the TTL, I usually had about minus a third of a stop, minus two thirds of a stop, bringing it down a little bit, just I didn't want any kind of blown out highlights on the skin or anything like that. So I would just bring it down a touch. Last thing, one thing to say on this, I'll just wrap this up. I know it was a Technique Tuesday last week, so I'll just mention it here. when people shoot with their Speedlight and it's off to the side here, right? This is what you get. You get this nasty shadow off to the side. So the Speedlight is on there. One thing I will say, it's got a really satisfying click when that's locked into the hot shoe. Simple thing, but I've certainly had them fall off in the past. Yeah, so when you're shooting like this, obviously the light is coming off to the side, which is what you get with that shot there. And I see people doing this all the time. I've seen a bunch of videos from professionals on YouTube doing it as well. Look, it's easily done, right? But when you're shooting in portrait, do try and have something like a bracket like this. I posted this last week, and Danny showed me an incredible bracket that he has that essentially you can switch between portrait and landscape, which looks like super cool. But truth be told, there's a tripod plate on the bottom of there. I can't put it on. But truth be told, there doesn't seem to be too many manufacturing people out there making that L bracket, which is weird to me, because it's something that should be mandatory, really. Because ideally what you want is something that like Danny has, that switches between portrait and landscape, right? Not ideal. Yeah, not ideal. Okay, let me just grab that article so it makes more sense in case you missed it. A bunch of people in the comments actually of this article posted about alternatives that they use, but none of them kind of had the functionality that Danny Campbell's had that he shared, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Let me just see if I can grab it. Yeah, where did he post it? I think he posted it on my Facebook. Maybe it was on the original post. See, 2 seconds. Nope. Oh, there you go, yeah. So, I'm not 100% on how this switches, but Danny was saying, so my custom rotating camera bracket, it rotates horizontally and vertically in a split second and holds the Enchrome Skyport hot shoe. So I would be kind of curious to see a video of that working, because I mean that's perfect, right? If that switches to over there instantly, that's nuts. Yeah, but I can't. My brain can't work out how it's doing it from that image. Yeah. It's the best thing that's ever happened to my photography. I wish someone could help me finance and build it. Danny, right? Because it's not out there, man. I looked when I was writing the article. I was like, I just picked up a £8 one on £7 one on eBay. I was like, I'm just doing this review. Just let me grab one, and I couldn't find one. Yeah, so and a bunch of people posted in the comments of my article, Danny. Like I was going, look, if you've got an alternative, show me, right? And a bunch of people posted the ones that they were using in the comments here. None of them do what yours does. Yeah. So there's definitely some mileage in that. Yeah. Okay. So the metal bracket on the side turns. I'll do it. Yeah. I'd love to see a video of it, man. Because I really can't. And I'm sure as soon as you show it to me, you'll be like, okay. But yeah, I can't really. Yeah, I can't really see it. Yeah. Yeah, nice. Do it, Danny. Yeah. I am genuinely interested in seeing that. Yeah, because I know you're saying it turns, but I can't work it out. Yeah, very cool though. Yeah. Okay. So yes, that was the Godox V100. Anybody got any questions about that? I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. It's got, like I said, it's got all the usual things in there. Maybe Small Rig can help out. Yeah, true. Yeah. Is Small Rig owned by Small Rig anymore? Or did they get taken over? I'd have to check. Yeah. So yeah, I think, like I said, I think that's everything. You got high speed sync in there as well. You got the multi sync in there as well. This also works with the Sony global shutter now as well. So I know there's usually a bunch of Sony shooters in chat, and I know a bunch of you obviously super happy about the Sony global shutter. So this will sync with that as well, which I presume is cool. Not something that I use, so I don't know. But yeah, it's good to have that option there. Yeah. So Steve's shown me a secret menu in there. I really should have read the menu, the instruction manual. But yeah, other than that, this is the menus that I saw. Yeah. So that's where all the good stuff is. And then I was just doing the rest of it with the trigger. Yeah. So if anybody's got any questions on that, or I'm going to try and put together like a proper article about it for next week. Fingers crossed. I mean, the images have been shot, so it should be fairly straightforward. But look, final word on this. When I was out there, I was having fun with it. Right, I was having fun, and it's kind of difficult in the studio. You got 5-6 lights set up. You're trying to mentally manage everything, right? And he's just like, oh, it's not going perfectly, that sort of stuff. You're throwing this thing on the camera, going outside, and just mucking around with some long exposure shots like that. I loved the images that I got with it. And look, bottom line, I had a ton of fun playing with this. Yeah, I had a ton of fun playing with this, and I mean, I absolutely love the shots that I got with it. So, very, very impressed with what this Speedlight can do. Now, some of you are saying, look, Jake, I've been using Speedlights for years, so it's kind of difficult for me to go, oh, this is like an incremental upgrade or a massive upgrade. But from when I used Speedlights years ago, this is huge compared to what I was using years ago. So, very, very impressive piece of kit. So thank you to Godox for sending it over, and thank you to Essential Photo for sending it over as well.